Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I look a mess, but today I'm going to be talking about pregnancy, birthing, my labour story, postpartum, all of that stuff. You know, I'm trying to be as precise as possible. I've even got my hospital notes out. I still have. So let's get straight into it. So I found out I was pregnant around October 2022. I then approached the doctors and said, yeah, I'm pregnant. And then they was like, oh, we're going to send you off to the hospital to basically do a reassurance scan to make sure that you're pregnant, to make sure baby's in the right place, all of that stuff. And then I went to my reassurance scan, lo and behold, I was El Prego. And then after that, I went back to the doctors and then they booked me. Then from there on out, I was having midwife appointments. My midwife appointments were every couple of weeks. In my midwife appointments, they would basically measure your belly around and from the top to the bottom. They would check baby's heart rate with a Doppler. Yeah, they was just basically checking in on you and baby, making sure everything was fine. And then with the scans, I had a 12-week scan, which was completely fine. I also had the blood test to make sure that baby doesn't have like Down syndrome and stuff or any other difficulties. Everything came back fine with that. And then after that, I booked a private scan, a gender scan in Window to the Womb. My first scan with them, legs were crossed, she was not moving, doing star jumps, drinking fizzy drinks, doing the most. She wasn't trying to let up, so they made me come back the next week. And then that's when I found out she was a girl. And then after that, I had my 20-week scan, and that's like I don't know the word of it, but it's like an important scan. It's like when the hospital tells you the sex of the baby to make sure baby is growing, that their brain, their heart, all of that stuff is growing perfectly fine. And then yeah, after that, my midwife was a bit worried because basically my bump was like not matching up to the weeks that I was pregnant. So basically your bump is meant to match up to how many weeks you are pregnant, if that makes sense. And I'd be like 30 weeks pregnant, for example, and it will come up that I'm like on my growth, it would come up that I'm like 20 weeks or 19 weeks. It was really low compared to like my week, if you get what I mean. So because the midwife was worried, I had growth scan after growth scan after growth scan after growth scan. Like I was up home in hospital every 2 weeks. Like it was not a joke. I was there all the time. I had scan after scan after scan, and she was coming up completely fine, but it was like, why is she not growing? I had one growth scan when they was like, yeah, you need to like meet with a fetal doctor, and it's basically like a doctor that's quite high up in like maternity in the hospital, to like basically plan what's gonna happen next. I'm like 35 weeks pregnant, girl, what are you talking about? Went up there and I had a conversation with the fetal doctor, and they was like, yeah, like your placenta isn't working. I said, excuse me? They said, yeah, your placenta's not working. Basically, baby's not getting the nutrients that she needs. This, that. I'm gonna have to induce you in 5 days. I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? At this point, I was like 36 weeks pregnant. So like, yeah, we need to induce you in 5 days, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, right. They was like, yeah, when baby's born, if she survives. And they kept saying if. It was just pissing me off. Like, why are you saying if for? But I guess they have to because it's their line of work. There's like, she's gonna be in NICU, she's gonna have wires and all that stuff. I was like petrified. I was like, what? Like, what is going on? All due down to my placenta. After that, I then had another growth scan where I went with my mum. This was in like literally within the 5-day period. I think I had to go back like the next day or something. And I went with my mum, and the doctor was like, oh, you and your mum are very petite. Like, me and my mum were quite short, we're quite slim. And it was like, that might be the reason my baby's not massive. And I'm like, well, yeah, obviously, but they can't go off that. They have to go off that, the scientific facts that they've learned in university. Other than that, my pregnancy went very smooth. I loved being pregnant. I felt my most prettiest when I was pregnant. I was quite cool, calm and collected. Like, I had a great pregnancy, I'll be real. I'm one of the lucky ones. Morning sickness lasted for like 3 months, but I wasn't sick often. I just felt very nauseous. Like, I felt hungover for about 3 months. And then after that, I was on top of the world. I felt great. I just felt heavy. And then towards the last couple months, I just literally felt really heavy and like, ugh, like, this is long. I had a great pregnancy. I craved Lucozade and tomatoes. But yeah, it was great. On the Monday, I trotted up to Harmon Hospital, 8 a.m. sharpish. They put me straight in a labour and delivery room and was like, yeah, let's get straight to it. They gave me a little thing around my arm that said my name, my new Rolex, and yeah, they induced me. First bit of induction, they put the cannula in as well, which I still have the scar. I don't know if you can see, but I still have the scar from the cannula. Anyway, my first part of the induction was the pessary. So they put a pessary in me. Though they checked if I was dilated, I obviously wasn't dilated. Then they put the pessary in me, and the pessary burnt like a motherfucker. Like, oh my god, it burnt bad. I was like, is this normal? They're like, yeah, it's completely normal. I was like, yeah, whatever. I had to deal with it. Then I went for a walk. I kept going for walks because I'm like, yeah, if they want baby to come out, I know that walking, curb walking on the ball, all of that stuff will help it happen. At this point, I'm not even dilated, so something needs to give. Then I went back. It also broke my waters as well. Getting my waters broken, everyone tells me, oh, when you're getting your waters broken, it's like a relief, this, that. It didn't feel like no relief for me. Yeah? It was horrid because at this point I've dilated like 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters. It was horrible. They had like a knitting needle, it was like that big with like a little hook on it, yeah. Then they put that at me and popped my waters, and it was disgusting. Like, it wasn't just water. It wasn't like you weed yourself. Like, it was well, for me it was lumpy water. It was disgusting. And at that point I felt Mila like literally drop. So I felt extra heavy. So I had another pessary, and then the contractions started to happen. You see the contractions, yeah? Oh my days. I was having back contractions, so my contractions weren't coming forward. A contraction basically feels like you feel it from your spine, on each side of your spine, coming forward. And it's like a ring of fire, literally going like that, grabbing your whole belly, and then it releases. But I was only having back contractions at first, so my contractions were going round to my hips, and then they wasn't going anywhere else. And it was like tight. It was horrible. I was having them like every 10 minutes, and then the nurses are like, yeah, it's time. At this point, it's like literally like 2 o'clock in the morning. They've then internally checked me to see how far I was dilated, like between 1 and 3 centimeters dilated, so I wasn't dilated fully at all. But the contractions were horrible, and then they just stopped. They just stopped out of nowhere. In the night time, I called my mum bawling because I was in pain, and they let me go for a walk. It was literally like 2 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm lying. It's like 12 o'clock at night. Called my mum bawling, like, mum, this is hurting. Like, they're not coming forward. Like, is this what a contraction is meant to feel like? Someone was like, I know you from TikTok. I was, please, like, it's not the time. It's not the time. And then the next day, they gave me the 3rd pessary. It was like every couple hours they'll give me a pessary, but I can't remember how many hours it was, because to be honest with you, it was a big blur. Oh, and at this point I've had like no medication, no gas in there, no nothing. Like, I really wanted to, but I couldn't, because I'm literally 3 centimeters dilated. Who am I to be taking drugs right now? Do you get what I mean? Then the next day they gave me the 3rd pessary, and they gave me another internal exam. Right, let me tell you about this internal exam. I swear to God, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. The internal exam they gave me, yeah, I had a midwife on this arm, another midwife on this arm. I had like doctors all at the bottom of me holding my legs back. This woman, because she was obviously she's a doctor, but she isn't a midwife. When the midwives internally like checked me, it didn't hurt. It obviously was uncomfortable, but it didn't hurt. When the doctor was doing it, I felt like I was going to die. I felt like she was ripping out my insides. I'm sorry to be gruesome. It was horrid. She was literally like in there rummaging around, and it fucking hurt. I had all these people, I was bawling my eyes out. Then yeah, after that I still haven't dilated properly, so I went for another walk. That's when my friends came to see me. Big up Aaliyah and Daisy, love you guys. My mum was there, but I was having contractions again at this point after the internal exam. But these contractions were coming round. They were proper contractions. I was thinking, this is horrid, this is hurting. It was a lot. I was like in a lot of pain. Gone back to the people in my labour and delivery room. They've got the like thing on me, do you know, like the blue band and the pink band. I'm not dilating. The contractions are coming and going. They're really severe, but they're not enough. Then they put me on the drip. When I had the hormone drip, I'm like, this is dead. Like, I was in so much pain. Like, when they put the hormone drip in, I'm telling you, the contractions were not a joke. Like, they were serious. There's like, basically, because your waters have been popped for a certain amount of time, you've got like 6 hours until we're gonna have to give you an emergency C-section. So if I was you, I'd go for one now. I'm like, huh? They're like, theatre's 3. I'm like, what do you mean the theatre's 3? I'm not having no C-section, bro. Like, I don't care. At this point, I'm like crying. I'm like, mum, like, what am I gonna do? My mum's like, you need to do whatever you want to do. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because they're telling me if I don't have this baby in a certain amount of hours, like, I'm going to have a C-section either way. I spoke to my midwife. I'm not gonna say her name on YouTube because, you know, I love you. I love you. She was like, off the record, like, I'm not meant to tell you what to do, but the best advice I can give you is have the C-section, because you're not dilating. Like, you're gonna get rushed for one, and it's like more problematic. I'm like, all right, cool. So I've told the doctors, I'm like, yeah, like, I'll go for the C-section. Yeah, they're like, oh, no problem. I'm freaking out inside. Like, this was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. It was a C-section. I could walk to mine. Gone for that now. I'm in the C-section room. You're like in a white room. It's very intense. Like, you're in the middle of the room. There's machines. There's like 20 people in there. It's like a lot. They took all my jewelry off me. My jewelry is like sacred to me. Like, you don't know about me and my jewelry, and it, like, don't take my jewelry. Freaking out. They're like, yeah, you can listen to some music. I'm like, what? Do you think I'm gonna listen to Nines right now while you're cutting open my stomach, bro? Like, what the fuck? They have given me, I can actually show you what I actually had. So I had spinal anesthetic, obviously put into my spine. My midwife held my hand for me. I was having contractions still at this point, and she's like, please don't move. Oh my god, there's a needle going in my back. Put the needle in, I start going numb. They basically, I was numb up to like here, I would say, like just above my breast. They put like some, I think it's dermablast, like up your leg to see if you're numb. You can't feel how cold, for example, the dermablast, you can't feel how cold it is, but you can feel like there's something there. Do you get what I mean? Like, you're numb to pain, you're not numb to feeling. Then they start giving me the C-section. So I felt them cut open the belly. I felt them stretch my belly. And I felt them rummaging. I felt them rummaging in there. It was disgusting. You're basically getting people washing up in your belly. That's exactly how it felt. People washing up in your belly. At this point, I'm bawling, thinking I'm gonna die. Apparently, I'm not bad enough to give birth, naturally. Apparently, I'm not bad enough to have a C-section either, because it was fucking traumatic. It wasn't traumatic, but it was like a lot to process all at once. You get what I mean? 6:59 p.m. She whizzed from the curtain. And I was like, oh. They didn't put her straight on me. They took her straight to do tests, because obviously they told me at the beginning that my placenta was failing. As far as I'm concerned, my placenta was actually completely fine. She came out 5 pound 1. She was completely fine. The first time I actually see my baby was a picture of her that my birthing partner took. Right, her dad was a picture of her, and I was like, whose big ass baby is that? She looked massive in the picture. But then obviously they put her on me, and it was like very overwhelming. I was crying. I was like, ew, this is a lot. And then they sewed me back up. The procedure, like the C-section, took literally like 40 minutes, less than that probably. Like, they said that my skin cut like butter. My scar is completely healed now. Obviously, it's been 2 years. My scar, you can barely even see it. I'm so grateful. Like, my healing process with that, which I'll get into, was proper. I'm so grateful. They moved me down some corridor into some room, where I had to like chill for a little while. Moved me into a ward, and then after that I started to get feeling. When I was in the room, I started to get feeling back in my legs, but when I was on the ward, I actually could feel, like, I reckon after about 2 hours I could have walked, but I'm glad I didn't. So about 7 hours later, I had to like walk from the bed I was on in my ward around to another bed, because they need to make sure that you can walk. The midwife has come and like stood me up here. Oh my god, the burning sensation I had in my stomach here, because obviously, like, it's a fresh wound, was disgusting. And I didn't know that I had a catheter in. Obviously I have a catheter in, but I didn't know that. As she stood me up, my catheter is like caught on the other side of the bed. So I'm like, yo, what is that? What is that? And she's all panicking, like, oh, it's your catheter. I'm like, why the fuck is the catheter still attached to me? Like, what are you doing? And then like a clot came out. Sorry to be gruesome. A clot fell out, and it was literally like the size of that. And they say anything over a 50p piece is dangerous. So I said, what the fuck is that? And then the midwife looked at me, she's like, wait there. Oh, now my catheter is still stuck behind the bed. So I'm like, yo, what is going on here? Yeah. They've come. She's like, that's fine. Then I had to walk around to the bed. And then, yeah, I can't really remember the night after that, to be honest with you. I think it went fine. It was all a big blur, to be honest. And then the next morning, I went for a walk. I tried to like walk downstairs. I thought I was Superwoman. Went downstairs. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I literally nearly fainted because all the blood rushed to me. It was a lot. So I nearly fainted, so that was cute. And then yeah, I can't really remember anything after that. Even though I took no drugs in this point of like in this time, it was all a real big blur. This is why it's going quite quick, because I can't really remember much, to be honest with you. But yeah, I got discharged the next day. Came home the next day, thank God. These are the things that I got discharged with. So I had to have paracetamol, dihydrocodeine, God knows, ibuprofen, and lactose. And lactose? What the fuck was I having lactose? Oh, and I also had cleaxane, which was basically the blood thinning injections that I had to take for 6 weeks to thin my blood. A health visitor came to my house like the day after I gave birth, and then like the week after I gave birth. I also had a breastfeeding specialist come to my house because my boobs were literally out here and I felt like I was internally dying. So I tried breastfeeding for about an hour. I didn't carry it on, not gonna lie, she was bottle fed. They gave me the red book at the hospital, which they don't usually do, but, or they do, I don't know. I got mine at the hospital, filled with all her stuff. Her head circumference was 35 centimeters. Bless her. They took my blue book from me. I don't know why they take your blue book, but they took my blue book from me and then gave me the red book. Yeah. Sleep talks. My healing process for my scar was perfectly fine. I'm not gonna lie, I was bumping my buggy up the stairs like 4 days later because I'm like, I don't want everyone to wait on me. Like, my cousin had to help me wash my hair and stuff and help me in and out the shower. Shit has to get done, do you get what I mean? And I can't sit in my house being a hermit, moping. Like, I can't do it in pain, because I was in pain, don't get twisted, but not as much pain as I thought I'd be in. Well, that I can remember. I probably was in mad pain, but I was just saying that I'm calm, do you get what I mean? I had definitely done way too much, way too early postpartum, in the sense of like working my body, but it is what it is. I actually wouldn't go back and change it. I did have a rapid weight loss, so I felt really comfortable in my body after I gave birth. Like, I was a bit bigger than I was obviously before I got pregnant, but I felt very comfortable. And then I'd say like the February, March of 2024, I had like a rapid weight loss. I've never felt so disgusting in my life. Like, I looked like an actual sea head, if you catch my drift. It was horrible. And then I've started to put my weight back on now. All my fat's going into the wrong places. Like, it's strange, but at least I'm putting on weight now. I had baby blues like 3 days after I gave birth, but I think that's very normal. I think everyone has baby blues. They weren't fun. I was sitting in my garden and I just like sat there and started crying for no reason. From the May up until like the December, I'm going to be honest with you, one big blur. One big blur. Like, I cannot remember hardly anything. I'm so glad that I took untold pictures and untold videos, because it's like a big massive blank space in my head. I remember bits and pieces here and there, like something, like I'll see something and it's like, oh, it will remind me of her then, or like, I don't know, I'll see pictures will come up and I'm like, oh, I remember that. But other than that, I can barely remember anything, and I feel so guilty about it. But I don't know why. I just can't remember like the first like 6-7 months of my life. It's strange. I remember the night feeds and stuff. Mila was great. Mila was basically sleeping through the night at like 2 months old. That's all I can really remember. That's so bad. Emotionally, postpartum was challenging, but I was extremely in denial about it. Like, if you sat there and said, what's wrong with you? Like, are you feeling okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. In reality, it was very challenging, but I got through it. I was very like in my head a lot. Like, it was really weird, but it's fine now. I'm almost 2 years postpartum and I'm starting to feel like me again. It takes a while to start feeling like you again. I've explained this in one of my TikTok videos, but you do start coming back to your usual self, your new norm, but with old parts of you. I gave birth in Homerton Hospital in Hackney. Wouldn't change a thing. I loved the hospital. My midwife was amazing. Everyone was just amazing. Like, I was so lucky to have them. I know a lot of people have had horrible experiences, especially with like C-sections and stuff, like, but me, I was just so grateful that I had them. I wouldn't recommend getting induced unless you have to be. So they told me that I have to be, but because I was a first time mum, I didn't understand that I could refuse, that I could question. I thought, you're getting induced, that's it and that's all. But I didn't know that I could have questioned it and gone further with it. But it is what it is. When they were telling me that like my placenta isn't working, she ain't getting no nutrients, no vitamins, no food, no nothing, I'm obviously not going to question them when they want to induce me. But then when I look back, I'm like, why did you want to induce me? Why didn't you just put me in for a C-section that day if it was that dangerous? Do you get what I mean? I can't really remember much. Been wanting to do a video for time, and I thought getting my labour notes and stuff out would help, but I read through them before I started the video, but I just can't really remember much at all. And I don't know why, because it wasn't, my birth was like, it wasn't traumatic where it's like I would never ever want to have a baby again, but it wasn't smooth sailing. Do you get what I mean? But I'm just unsure of why. I can't really remember. Like I swear, from the minute I gave birth to her up until like the December, can't remember anything. Like I just remember dribs and drabs. It's really weird, really weird. I had to get her weighed every single month up until she was a year old, and then now I can do it like every year basically, but she's completely fine. Like I don't actually need to do it anymore. She was so sweet, she was the best. But from what I can remember, now she'll be 2 in May. She's sleeping at the moment. She'll be 2 in May and she's thriving. She's sleep talking, and yeah, I definitely would do it all over again. Hopefully I'd have a natural birth next time, but I wouldn't change a thing. If you have any more questions, please ask them, because I'll tell you. Yeah, love you all. Thank you for watching. Talk soon.